people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Marcus Garvey. As we continue our celebration of Heritage Week, we focus on the lessons taught by our first national hero. I'm Audrey. Thank you for joining us for another educational edition of Jamaica Magazine. Also, it's International Day for Natural Disaster Reduction. Stay tuned to find out how you can play your part in building a more disaster-resilient Jamaica.
The JIS Heritage Competition is back. Enter your essay, poster, or photo and win big prizes. If you're aged 9 to 12 years, enter the essay competition and tell us who is your favorite Jamaican sportsman or sportswoman and why. High school students, enter the poster competition. This year's theme is Jamaica's Rich Sporting Heritage. If you're a tertiary level student, enter the photo competition. This year's theme is I Am a Sports Champion. Competition closes for all 3 categories on November 6. Get started now. For information on submission and competition guidelines, visit our website at jis.gov.jm, call 926-359-024, extension 2137, or send an email. Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 12. Government will be introducing several new measures in the short to medium term to improve the mortgage environment in Jamaica. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says they will include a policy to govern a secondary mortgage market where home loans and servicing rights are bought and sold between lenders and investors. For example, a bank that provides mortgages to homeowners would sell that loan to investors in the secondary market as a means of freeing up their capital to offer more loans to individuals.
So as realtors, get ready. Mortgage rates are going to come down based upon some of the policies that we are putting in place.
The Prime Minister was addressing this morning's annual real estate symposium in Kingston. He also announced plans to introduce reverse mortgages in the medium term. A reverse mortgage is one in which a homeowner can borrow money against the value of his or her home. No repayment is usually required until the borrower dies or the home is sold.
Of course, any policy in that regard would have to take into consideration very carefully the subprime risk which affected the United States and Thailand and other countries in Southeast Asia. But we have seen the models that have been developed that give adequate protection to the markets where secondary mortgage markets exist. And so we're looking at that very, very closely.
Mr. Holness says he will also be looking into merging real estate-related services provided by government so that home buyers won't have to pay high fees. In the meantime, the Prime Minister has also signaled plans to institute a Townhouse Act to govern the operation and maintenance of townhouses and other housing developments. Lamenting the state of some old NHT schemes and other developments, Mr. Holness indicated that the legislation was to prevent further urban decay and ensure the maintenance of property values in the schemes.
I am happy to inform you that drafting instructions are now being issued for that act. This is such an important piece of legislation to bring order to development and to preserve the value of people's real estate investment.
Probation officers have joined other public sector workers who've previously signed the heads of agreement with government for the 2015-2017 contract period. Probation aftercare officers provide supervision of persons placed on community-based sentence to ensure that they operate as law-abiding, peaceful and productive citizens. Under the 2-year agreement, the officers will receive a 4% salary increase for year 1 and 3% in year 2. $2 million is also provided for the continuing professional development of probation aftercare officers. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, is reviewing various aspects of Jamaica's disaster response mechanism in the wake of the recent near impact of Hurricane Matthew. In a statement to Parliament yesterday, Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie said the review exercise would also involve the Social Development Commission. It will look at the shelter management program, among other things.
A system, Mr. Speaker, to review the internal and external agencies has also commenced. An update of the standing operation procedure of the National Emergency Response Committee after careful evaluation, the development of a mutual aid agreement and contract arrangements with the private sector partners to ensure swift response. In the longer term, the National Response Coordination Plan will be updated.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica, meanwhile, is calculating total loss to the economy due to lost production hours and other factors. In the meantime, Minister McKenzie said there was no severe damage to parochial infrastructure or the wider road network. The local government minister expressed gratitude for the role played by all public and private sector stakeholders, particularly ODPEM, in dealing with the threat posed by Hurricane Matthew. And finally, the Ministry of Sport has commissioned statues of Usain Bolt, Veronica Campbell-Brown, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Asafa Powell in honor of their outstanding contribution to the development of Jamaican track and field. The statues are to be crafted over the next 2 years by renowned Jamaican artist and sculptor Basil Watson, who sculpted the statue for sports icon Herb McKinley. They will be mounted at the National Stadium Statue Park as part of a wider planned development of the stadium complex, which includes the National Sport Museum. Sport Minister Olivia Grange made the announcement yesterday during a press conference providing details of government's program of activities to celebrate the nation's Rio 2016 Olympic and Paralympic teams. The first 2 statues of Usain Bolt and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce will be completed in time for the Jamaica 55 Independence celebrations in 2017. The statues of Veronica Campbell-Brown and Asafa Powell will be completed for the following year. In the meantime, the celebrations for the 2016 Olympic and Paralympic athletes and their teams are slated to take place from Friday, October 14 to Sunday, October 16. They include a reception hosted by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on the lawns of Jamaica House, a Rio Sports Gala and Awards ceremony at the National Indoor Sports Center, the Jamaica National 5K Run Walk in Western Jamaica, and a reception to be hosted at the Melia Braco Village in Trelawney. Minister Grange says it will cost $40 million to stage the 3-day celebration. Another $42 million will be disbursed to the members of the Jamaican delegations as cash awards. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Terrible storms, drought, food shortages. Climate change is real. We can't stop it, but we can slow it down. Conserve water, plant trees, recycle, practice rainwater harvesting, use good agricultural practices. Contact the Climate Change Division at 906-0724 for more information.
Have you noticed that the days have been getting hotter and hotter? Well, many experts will tell you it's because we're actually feeling the effects of global warming as our climate changes. That's the same reason they say natural disasters are having more damaging effects on our environment. Don't panic though, there are some things that you can do to protect the environment going forward.
Warning, warning, warning!
The world over is changing, and a number of the changes are as a result of the way you and I have chosen to live. From driving a car to garbage disposal, using electricity to light and cool your homes. All these activities contribute to the evolving problem known as climate change.
Climate change is happening now.
For some strange reason, Jamaica doesn't have any rainfall at all.
What I know right now is that it's a very hot summer.
The drought is killing us.
From the farmer to the housewife, climate change has no boundaries. It does not discriminate.
If I was to define climate change, I would say something like it's the long-term changes in measures of climate happening over very, very long periods of time, and specifically due to human activity. So the first is, of course, things that we burn for electricity, so gas and coal and oil. And when we burn those fossil fuels, we put certain gases in the atmosphere which are known as greenhouse gases. And those greenhouse gases cause the eventual warming of the earth. And then the other one would be land use change. So, for example, when we cut down the trees and replace the trees by concrete, you know, trees are what we call a natural sink. They take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
At the onset, the situation might seem dismal, but if we act now, we can begin adapting to the impacts of climate change.
The school of thought is that there are really three key actions. The first is what they call mitigation. And by mitigation in the climate change context is, well, maybe we need to not put out as much greenhouse gases which are causing the problem in the first place. The second key action then is figuring out how to adapt. And adapting means learning to live within the new context that we are creating for ourselves, the new climate context. The third critical plank is always education. You know, we have to begin to educate people about climate change.
The country has been implementing a number of climate change resilient programs since 1995, when it became party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, the main international treaty on climate change. The adaptation, mitigation, and education strategies have been reflected in the development of the Vision 2030 National Development Plan through Goal 4 under Outcome 14, Hazard Risk Reduction and Adaptation to Climate Change. The Climate Change Division has a leading role in coordinating these initiatives.
The Climate Change Division is set up to accomplish a number of objectives, and that includes improving the general awareness of the public as to what climate change is and what as a country we can all do in order to make ourselves better prepared for the likely and significant impacts.
The division has been making strides in creating awareness about climate change and each individual's role in protecting the environment.
As a country, we need to think, how can we reduce our greenhouse gas output? One obvious way is, for example, renewable energy. So to pursue renewable energy as a viable energy option.
Our main activity is to ensure that we keep whatever forests we have in Jamaica intact. And in areas that we have lost the forest, is to replace it.
We have seen where our shoreline is changing. We've been doing a lot of work with replanting of mangroves, and we encourage replanting of seagrass. We have done work with establishment of coral nurseries, artificial reefs.
We have experienced firsthand and will continue to see the changes that result from climate change. It is real, and all hands have to be on board to ensure success in our mitigation, adaptation, and education strategies. With climate change, we must change.
Schools, colleges, businesses need research material for the upcoming heritage celebrations? Look no further. The Jamaica Information Service has all the heritage items you need. Books, flags, posters, CDs and DVDs. Don't wait until the last minute. Get your material today. Visit the Jamaica Information Service at 58A Halfway Tree Road, Kingston, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays to Thursdays, and 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Fridays. Come in, call, or click to place your order. Email research@jis.gov.jm or call 926-359024.
Marcus Garvey preached the principles of black pride, self-reliance, and confidence. Not only did he talk the talk, but he also led by example. For his work, he was given the honor of National Hero. Let's now remember the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, tree without roots.
No one remember old Marcus Garvey. No one remember.
A boy of humble beginnings, taking his first steps towards a life decorated and defined by the search for a proud black identity. The journey began on August 17, 1887, in a rural district nestled in the Garden Parish of St. Anne, where the union of a mason and a domestic worker birthed a living legacy of black self-empowerment.
When you hear him describe his mother, Sarah Jane Garvey, she had a different kind of influence on him. I think that he inherited a lot of her sense of compassion.
Marcus also inherited much from his father, Marcus Mosiah Garvey Sr. Together, his parents gave him a strong foundation, starting at 32 Market Street in St. Anne's Bay. The Universal Negro Improvement Association, the Pan-African Movement, the Negro Factories Corporation, the Black Star Liner Shipping Company, all symbols of achievement to which Garvey could lay claim. But his life was more than the public platform familiar to most. Garvey was equal parts Pan-Africanist and father, equal parts orator and husband, scholar and son, national hero and lifetime student. As a young boy, Garvey developed a love of reading, first from his father's private library and later the more extensive collection of his godfather Alfred Burroughs. An apprenticeship with Burroughs at age 14 provided a platform for literary expression through the printing press. It's an influence that would find expression in several newspaper developments and publications throughout Garvey's life. Even as he trod the path of visionary, philosopher, and scholar, Marcus Garvey was a family man. After a long courtship, he married Amy Ashwood in a private Catholic church ceremony, followed by an elaborate public ceremony and reception at Liberty Hall on Christmas Day, 1919. The union didn't last. But Garvey found love and family life again with his longtime secretary, Amy Jakes. The two married in July 1922 and had two sons, Marcus Jr. and Julius.
You can see letters that they wrote to each other when his sons were in Jamaica and he was in England. He has nicknames for them. He speaks to them the same way a loving father would speak to any child.
From the dirt tracks in a small rural community to a global stage promoting change, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey was the epitome of ambition.
When you look at his background versus what he was able to achieve in a very, very short time period, you have to recognize that it was ambition that was driving him. But most importantly, he had ambition, not just for himself, but for people of his race. He wanted black people to be liberated in every sense of the word, not just physically, but mentally, economically, socially, and so on.
On June 10, 1940, a nation lost a hero. Humanity lost a world changer. Marcus Garvey was finally laid to rest in 1964 in Jamaica after 52 short years. The man from St. Anne's Bay had given black people a new way of looking at themselves. He'd told them to embrace their identity, that they could achieve anything.
Up your mighty race! Accomplish what you will!
No one remember old Marcus Garvey. No one remember old Marcus Garvey.
Developmental planning must precede construction. Risk analysis must inform all our actions. Codes must be adhered to. Construction must be sound. And of course, where construction is done outside of the codes, statutes and regulations, then enforcement must come into play.
So, you're ready to build that dream house. You have selected a location, a design, and the materials that you want to use. But wait, before you start construction, wouldn't it be wise to know how a natural disaster may impact your investment? Take a look.
Floods and earthquakes are two of the most common natural disasters. But unlike earthquakes, which usually take us by surprise, flooding to some extent can be predicted.
But when it is, what should we do with the information? And how do we safeguard ourselves and properties against this eventuality?
Through the use of revolutionary technology, awareness of the possible outcomes of a natural disaster has become more advanced. Persons are now able to use data on location, roof, and house type to create a simulation of what may happen in an earthquake, tropical storm, or hurricane.
The simulation was designed to combine place, type of structure, and event. Because Jamaica is vulnerable to four types of events: hurricane/tropical storms, landslides, floods, and earthquakes. But the same building that you live in is exposed to all four. And that same building you live in will react differently to all four.
Jamaica's landscape equally sits in low-lying and coastal areas as on hills and valleys. The country is also in an earthquake zone, so it can't hurt to do a little research on all the what-ifs, right?
You'll be able to go inside your house and see your roof being blown off, or your slab roof staying on. You'll be inside your slab roof house when earthquake shakes, it comes down on you. We will be able to have those type of simulations.
How about the possible outcome of a Category 5 hurricane if you're living in a zinc roof wooden house that is built on stilts in a river valley? So now that these predictions are available to us, just how useful are they?
This simulator is now designed to take all of that information, the conventional knowledge that we as academics know, or the disaster management professional knows, dump it online as we have. Let the developer, housing developer, have access to it and see for himself. Let the parish council person or the development approval authority play with it.
And once they've viewed it, the authorities can use the data to plan areas for development, approve or deny development applications, and build better. The simulator is not just a special effect disaster interactive tool, but one that takes into account the realities of environmental and living conditions here in Jamaica.
And the simulator also seeks to bring an awareness of the impact natural disasters may have on lives, properties, and businesses in relation to the country's national goals.
The effect a hazard would have on everything ranging from the individual to the nation is important, and scaremongering only goes so far.
The simulator allows you to either scare yourself or reassure yourself, but it's based on reality.
Another useful element to this drill is the data it uses. Historical data are planted and come to life through the simulator, to facilitate emergency responses as well as forward planning in action.
Knowing where hazards are and knowing where they're not is extremely valuable information to businesses such as insurance. Instead of blanketing Portland as a hazard-prone parish, we can know which parts of Portland are hazard-prone, therefore allowing people in Portland who are not in hazard-prone areas to get lower insurance premiums. You underwrite them differently. And you also underwrite more accurately and properly the people who are in hazard-prone zones.
So, if you have already bought your dream home or are thinking of buying or building, you may want to try a few simulation exercises to test the stability of your home or to find out if where you intend to build is the best place to put down roots.
No matter how difficult you think your life is, there are always others who are less fortunate than you and need your help. There are many ways to assist those in need. If you go in your closet right now, you may find clothes that you haven't worn in a while. If they're in good condition, you can consider donating them. Consider the less fortunate when you go grocery shopping this month and buy some non-perishable items and drop them off at the nearest charity organization or shelter. Sometimes giving back doesn't even have to cost anything. You may volunteer, giving some of your time. As we look to help our Caribbean neighbors devastated by Hurricane Matthew, think about making cash donations. Cash donations buy exactly what people need when they need it. It can be used to rebuild homes, buy medication and food. No donation is too small. On that note, the ODPEM is coordinating the country's efforts to provide relief to Haiti. The organization is asking for donations such as tarpaulins, non-perishable food items, and bottled water. These may be dropped off at the ODPEM, 2-4 Haining Road, Kingston 5. Cash donations can be made to any branch of NCB. Account number 21-238-7304.
I remember when I didn't like school and Mommy used to have to wake me up.
Tabla, hurry up. You're going to be late for school.
Hey, now that I have a tablet, you don't need to wake me up. Since Mommy and Daddy bought me a tablet, I use my tablet for all kinds of cool stuff. I use my tablet to read books. I use my tablet to learn about history and science. I use my tablet to help with my homework. I even use it to talk to my daddy at work. Hello, Daddy!
Learning is easy and fun with a tablet. Take care of your tablet. Use it wisely.
We've come to the end of our show. You may watch this and other editions of Jamaica Magazine on our YouTube channel. You can also download the JIS app at the Google Play Store. Keep up with us on social media. Visit our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. I'm Audrey. On behalf of the entire production team, take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.